Hello, people, and welcome to one of the coolest sessions you'll see today. I'm Rabia Williams, and I'm a cloud advocate for Microsoft 365. With me, I have Jess Cook. Hey, Jess.
Hey, everyone. I'm Jess Cook, a software engineer on the SDK team, so let's get started.
So in this session, we are going to take you behind the scenes of Teams JS SDK version 2. That is in general availability starting today. We will walk you through all the cool new announcements first and why we think you should be as excited as we are today. Then Jess will deep dive into the capability model of the SDK and will help us understand how to create contextually relevant experiences. Finally, we will wrap the session with a demo where an existing Teams application is ported to Outlook and Office.com using the Teams JS SDK version 2. Now, in a hybrid workspace, people are often working in multiple app experiences, whether it is first-party or third-party applications. Each of these applications provide different purposes and capabilities which help them get their work done efficiently. But most of the time, they also want these applications to be better connected, to understand the context they're in. Bringing these applications to Outlook, Teams, or Office.com connects the dots and provide a better connected workspace for more focus, increased efficiency, and productivity. Since this is a developer conference, let's look at what this means to a developer. If you have attended any of the other sessions about Teams app development or are plugged into the latest innovations in the M365 space, you must have heard of the principle, write once, run anywhere, which is quite compelling from a developer's perspective. To be able to write an app once and have it run in multiple places and contexts within M365 with very little code change is comforting. Teams JS SDK version 2 allows you to do just that. By upgrading to the SDK and adopting the App Manifest version 1.13, your Teams app can light up in Outlook and Office.com on web and Windows. Teams Mobile will work as expected, and if you're thinking, well, what about Outlook and Office Mobile? It is very much on our radar, and mobile support will follow soon later this year for Outlook and Office. Now, what about end users? Why do we do the things we do? It's ultimately for our users. The expanded availability of your Teams app enables you to reach more active users within the M365 ecosystem. And more importantly, it helps your users stay in the flow of the work they are doing. Having your app's experiences available in more places within M365 at their fingertips when and where they need it empowers them to minimize context switching. It's such a powerful way to help users do more and be more productive. You don't just duplicate applications across host apps. All this can only be meaningful if the application is integrated in ways that is more meaningful in each host M365 application. For this reason, all functionalities in the Teams JS SDK version 2 are now logically grouped into capabilities. Your application can detect supported functionality in each M365 host app and change its behavior accordingly. Jess will deep dive into the capabilities model in a minute. And last but not the least, I am so happy to announce that the version 2 of Teams JS SDK is compatible with version 1. All your in-market Teams experiences continue to run as is across platforms, even if you update to version 2. Now, if you're visiting us from the breakout session titled Build Collaborative Apps with Teams and Microsoft 365 Services, then I do want to remind you that this is a developer-facing milestone. And what I mean by that is that while the SDK version 2 and Manifest version 1.13 are generally available for you to try in Teams, the host apps Outlook and Office.com continue to be in public preview. This is intentional because it gives you a chance to run full-scale pilots with preview users in Outlook and Office.com. You can get end-user feedback from your preview users to prepare your app for general availability later this calendar year. Additionally, you can also send us feedback through regular channels so that we can continue to improve our platform to support your development needs. The beauty of it all is that you can continue to enjoy production-level support for your new and existing in-market Teams experiences built on version 2 of the SDK. Phew. So now that we've got all the announcements out of the way, let's ask Jess to dive right into the details of all the new and exciting changes in the SDK, as well as to take us through the principles that inform those changes. Over to you, Jess.
Thanks, Rabia. I'm excited to walk you through how we, the platform engineering team, expanded upon the features and abilities of the Teams SDK. These include a new capabilities model, multi-M365 host support, and we revamped the SDK to take advantage of JavaScript promises, all while maintaining backwards compatibility. First, let's discuss how the SDK has been extended, giving Teams developers the freedom to interact with additional M365 hosts. Historically, developers could only work with Teams. Now, Outlook and Office.com have been added as supported hosts on web and Windows platforms. And if you're wondering about mobile support, I am happy to tell you that we are working on it. We expect to have mobile support enabled for Outlook and Office.com later this year. We hope that you will try the SDK and make your Teams experiences available to many more M365 end users. Our new capability structure is easy to use. Once the developer has determined which of the desired capabilities are supported within the host, they can proceed with the confidence that this list of supported capabilities will not change during runtime. However, the list of feature sets could grow or evolve through the lifetime of the Teams SDK. Rest assured, every capability supports all of the APIs within it. There is no such thing as partial support, meaning that all of the supported methods within a capability can safely be called. For example, if mail is supported by a host M365 app, say Outlook, then I know I can call mail.composeMail and mail.openMailItem. I don't have to check for individual function support. Getting started is simple. All that the developer has to do then is to do a one-time support check using the isSupported method, which each capability provides. Now, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about the concept of host-specific versus host-agnostic capabilities. As discussed earlier, isSupported is a critical function. Some capabilities are only meant to be run within certain hosts. These hosts are host-specific capabilities. A few examples are chat, mail, and calendar. Capabilities are said to be host agnostic when they can run in any host. A good example of this is the authentication capability. So why did we do this? Because we understand that extending Teams applications needs to be done in a thoughtful way. It's not just about lighting up Teams experiences across M365. They need to be contextually relevant while also helping you enable scenarios that make sense within the context of a given host app. As a reminder, each of the Teams SDK capabilities is supported as a method and can be called after initialization. It allows the app to detect supported functionality in each M365 host app and act accordingly. isSupported is the only way to accurately get information about whether a capability can be used or not within any given host app. If you're wondering whether there is a way to determine which M365 host app your app is running in, we have exposed a property that will do just that. We will discuss it on the next slide, so let's take a look. The hostname property is located on the app context. It is also available after the app has initialized. An important point to be aware of is that while it may seem convenient to use the hostname to determine what capabilities are supported, this may not be accurate in the future as capabilities can change. As an example, if you write your code to only show mail when Outlook is the host app running and Teams adds mail support, then your code would have to be updated to execute mail APIs in both Outlook as well as in Teams. If you look at the image, you can see the difference in the UI. Those are rendered by checking the hostname property. By checking the hostname property is equal to Teams, we can render a different theme, whichever UI components we decided to show within our Teams application. To reiterate, the hostname should only be used to make UI decisions, such as a different theme for Teams versus Outlook, to customize a banner message, or render host-specific views. As a developer, I know it can be a daunting task to upgrade to a new version of the dependency. We wanted to make sure that your upgrade experience is as frictionless as possible. Developers can take advantage of all the new capabilities and optimizations in the SDK v2 without having to change their existing code. We have worked tirelessly to ensure that when you upgrade, none of your existing Teams app experiences break. We encourage consumers of the SDK to update to the newer promise model, but we understand that this can take time and want to give you the flexibility to update at your own pace. While deprecated APIs will continue to be supported, we recommend avoiding them if you are creating a new app. Another reason to update to v2 is that if you want to take advantage of the latest and greatest features that we continue to add to the SDK, it can only be done if you upgrade to the latest version. Now, let's take a closer look at capability design. I picked the chat capability to illustrate some key concepts. Aside from the is_supported function, it has two other methods, a method to open a single chat and another to open a group chat. At first glance, this may look like something that could be done using the Microsoft Graph alone. However, these capabilities provide the caller with an integrated host experience. An integrated host experience contains the UI, the pipeline necessary to execute these functions within the host. All you have to do is provide the function the appropriate parameters. It's not just the API call being made to execute a certain action, but it pretty much enables the entire experience that is expected in the host app. Next, I'll walk you through a real-world workflow that could leverage this model. Let's focus on the calendar capability. First, you initialize the SDK. Now, imagine we have two different themes, a purple theme for Teams and a blue theme for Outlook. We can access the hostname to determine which host we are running in and load the appropriate theme. We find out we are in Teams, so we load our purple theme and its respective components. Remember, the hostname is used for conditionally showing parts of the UI. The capability we want to work with is a calendar, and this is when is_supported should be called for your desired capability. Let's say we want to call a method within the calendar capability. We call calendar.is_supported within the current host, and it returns true. Great. Now we want to compose a meeting and invite Rabia to it. We can easily add Rabia's email as an attendee, a start time, end time, subject, and call the function compose meeting. On top of that, we don't even have to build any pieces of UI. The SDK lets your app hook into existing host functionality, and the respective elements will jump to life when a particular SDK capability method is called. Let's expand upon our previous example by incorporating a graph call into our meeting request function. Before, we were just picking any start time and end time, with no regard for Rabia's schedule. But let's be more considerate. Using Microsoft Graph, we could get the times we know Rabia is free, compose the meeting with that time in mind, therefore increasing our chances that she'll accept the meeting. The last step can be repeated as often as you need.
That's great. Thanks, Jess. I've been playing with the version 2 of the SDK for quite some time now, and I have a working app that I will be demoing now with all the capabilities, host name, and other changes that you discussed, Jess, today. So let's take a look. The demo we're showing you today is Northwind Orders app, which is a Teams app sample my colleagues and I have been working on. And we will be sharing the link to this application source code towards the end of the session. Now, what we have done here is extend this Teams app across Outlook and Office.com using the new Teams JS SDK version 2. Now let's see it in action. So I'm logged in as Anna, the user, who places orders on Northwind Orders app. And this is a personal tab in Teams that shows Anna's list of orders. So you can also see more information about the order in the table, a chart, like a report, etc. displayed to the user. Now, if you go ahead and click on one of the orders, it opens up the details page, which shows extra information about the orders, like contact information, the list of products Anna ordered. Down below, you can see the tracking information. And right here is a chat button that Anna can use to immediately open up a group chat with the sales team that is currently handling this order. This saves tons of time for Anna in tracking down the right person to contact. And it opens up the chat with the order information pre-populated as chat title with the salespeople. Anna loves this feature, although I wonder if the sales team appreciates it. Now, there are situations where Anna needs to send official emails to sales contacts, and that's when chat isn't as helpful. So now Anna can go to Outlook and open the Northwind Order app from the flyout, which will now load the My Orders page, the same consistent app experience that Anna is used to in Teams. She can view all her orders, and then she can go ahead and select a particular order to view order information. So in the right-hand side, though, instead of chat, she can compose an email to the sales contact. You can also notice that the look and feel is adjusted to show the app is now running in Outlook. So now if we go ahead and select the Compose Mail button, it creates a new Outlook message with sales contacts pre-populated with order details and subject. Now, I personally use Office.com to find things I'm working on, especially documents. And if Anna goes into her Office.com, she can pick up where she left off with the orders she's working on, the file that she has used in these orders, etc. So in short, you can see here in My Orders, you have my recent orders and recently opened files. So the application is now intelligent to understand the context and capabilities of host applications to give a more integrated experience for your users. Now, I'm going to show you a sneak peek into the code sample on things that I'm a little bit excited about. So this is the Visual Studio Code editor where my project is opened up. So the file you're seeing here is the Teams helper module I have in this JavaScript sample. Here I am importing the CDN of the Teams JS SDK version 2. And let's talk about this function in M365. So this function returns true if we're running in Teams, Outlook, or Office. Now, my fellow Teams app developers, you probably have done this in the past to check if your application is running in Teams. And we have done some really hacky ways to do this. But now, with this new version, we have an official way to check whether your application is in Microsoft Teams or Office or Outlook using the app.host.name in the context. This is great. We also can see here the display themes function, which basically checks in which host your application is in and then change the UI or set the theme for that particular host. This way, I can check if my application is in Teams or Outlook or Office, or even opened up in a browser to set a theme accordingly. Because let's face it, not all applications run only on Teams or M365. There are also browser-based applications that you want to use. Now, I'm going to the identity module here quickly just to show you the authentication where you're getting auth token. This function looks different now because it is returning a promise. Previously, we had callbacks, so now we can change it to promise. This is super cool stuff. Now let's go back to the client code for the order details page, which is what I demoed earlier, where you see the chat or the compose buttons. Now, if you look closely, I'm checking if chat is supported, and then I'm doing a bunch of things like showing the button for chat, and I'm tying up the action for the button, which basically is opening up a group chat or a one-on-one chat based on the number of sales representatives. And if you come down here, you can see I'm also checking if mail is supported. Then I'm making my app show a button action for composing an email. And I'm passing all the parameters with which I can then open up the new mail window. So in short, what you can see here is that the application is not checking whether it is in Teams and then showing a chat, or whether it's in Outlook, then it will open up an email. But it is asking, am I in an application or a host application where chat is enabled, or am I in an application where mail is enabled, and then performing those actions? So I hope this demo gives you some inspiration to go ahead and try the SDK. So I'm just going to bring back Jess for some more fun stuff.
By the way, that was a really helpful demo, Rabia. Thank you so much for putting it together. And as you outlined at the beginning of this session, here are the developer promises that we are holding ourselves accountable to. The first one is whether you are in an existing Teams developer that is contemplating upgrading to V2 of the SDK, or a new M365 developer building a Teams app with V2, you can build production Teams apps and continue to receive production-level support for your in-market Teams experiences. Your Teams developer experience will remain unchanged as our documentation, tooling, feedback channels, and code repository have been updated to support extended apps. I also wanted to remind you that even though this is a developer-facing milestone, you will be able to run full-scale pilots of the extended Teams capabilities with preview users in Outlook and Office.com. And finally, from a distribution standpoint, you will be able to distribute both single-tenant and multi-tenant applications. So, Rabia, was that a good recap of everything you outlined at the beginning?
It was. Thanks, Jess. And I'm a little curious here. Have any of our partners adopted the new SDK or the manifest?
That's a great question. And I'm very happy to tell you that we have 9 partners who have been early adopters of our bits. They have extended their existing Teams personal tabs and search-based message extensions to Outlook and Office.com. In fact, if you watch the breakout session about build collaborative apps with Teams and Microsoft 365 services, Mural had a wonderful demo where they illustrated how collaboration at the workspace in a hybrid world can be a lot smoother and efficient if Teams experiences meet the user in meaningful ways, in additional services and context within M365. And in case you haven't had a chance to watch the session, I recommend you take a look at the demo. It was pretty impressive.
It is. And did we get any feedback from these partners about their experiences?
Yes, and we are better for it. Our roadmap, engineering investments, and research investments are being shaped in meaningful ways thanks to their feedback.
So, Jess, how do we get started? Or let's just say, what are the technical investments for someone who wants to start trying out this version 2 of Teams JS SDK today?
You can get started in 2 simple steps. First, upgrade your Teams SDK to 2.0 and update the manifest version to 1.13. And that's it. Isn't that easy? Remember, don't be afraid to try out the SDK. It's backwards compatible. Your existing code will not break. Check out the relevant links, including the sample app that Rabia demoed. Thank you, everybody, for your time, especially you, Rabia, for joining us from the future in Brisbane.
You people are always behind. Thanks, everyone, for your time. Jess and I have really enjoyed sharing all this information with you today.